Here at JabberTalky, we promise you, our audience, that we will watch the films so you don't have to. Machete Kills. So, Machete Kills is brought to you by Robert Rodriguez, stars Danny Trejo. It really has a great cast. Unfortunately, just because you get a great ensemble cast does not necessarily mean you have a great movie. Man of Steel. So, it's not that I didn't like the movie. I just thought it was an hour and 46 minutes too long. In my head, it plays out. Robert Rodriguez just finished Sin City. I can see him sitting at a table with all of his assistant directors, producers, and all the executives. And they're like, Sin City, amazing film, you guys did great. So, what do you got next on the plate? Can we get a sequel out? And Robert Rodriguez, he's sitting there and he's like, no. Shark Boy. And then a couple years later, the executives are at the table and they're like, okay, Robert, how about we work on that Sin City sequel now, huh? No. Spy Kids 4. Robert. Okay, you know, you had your fun. Let's get that. No. Machete Kills. I can understand this is something that Robert Rodriguez is really passionate about. That's why he's working on it. He likes the character of Machete and this really campy world. He got involved in cinema because of B, grindhouse, campy, low-budget flicks. That's why he fell in love with cinema, and that's what he wants. That's what he's passionate about. And I can understand that. And I can understand him investing in this. But I feel like he really had a lot of good content, a lot of good footage out there. He just didn't really know when to cut. This movie just needed some more time in the editing room. He probably could have cut a good 20 minutes off of it. Maybe even more. Sofia Vergara, she provides an absolutely insane performance. She's absolutely nuts! But she's not important to the plot. It did not need to be that long at all. It felt really sluggish. It wasn't all bad. There were some really great, charismatic performances in it. Damien Bashir, he looks like he's having fun on that set. He really brings a lot of energy. But after a while, he kind of gets pushed off into the background. It's like he becomes an afterthought. He was the best fleshed out character in the movie, literally. There were some scenes where the movie went into into drama territory, trying to win sympathy for this character. But then you don't get any closure with him. That's just it. That's it. He was my favorite character. Why are you taking him away? Oh, and now I have the rest of the movie to slog through. Oh. Mel Gibson gave a great performance. He really earned some of my respect back. He was really accepting that whole supervillain role, which kind of meta, you know, people kind of see him that way outside of the cinema. But he really played it up. He has a frickin' cape. Later on, he wears a mask. He's literally like a James Bond supervillain. And Machete, I guess Machete could kind of be the Mexican, low-budget, poorly financed James Bond. I could kind of see that. So many of the action scenes are literally, we're standing over here, we're standing over here, pow, 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 pow. And that's literally, that's the fight scene. Whenever there is anything that resembles a blade, doesn't matter if it's on a chopper, doesn't matter if it's a machete, whenever you see a blade in the film, you know it's going down. The thing about about B films, where it's really campy, grindhouse, you want to move, you want a fast pace. You know, you got to keep the camp coming, keep the cheesy jokes running, and the action, and that just insanity. But this film has just really long, drawn-out scenes. It's really sluggish. I'm surprised. Another thing, the CG blood. I am not a big fan of CG blood. Why is there so much CG blood? When you're an hour and a half in the movie, you should not be throwing more exposition at the audience. When you're an hour and a half in the movie, that is not the time for exposition. That's the time for conclusions, for tying the threads, for the climax, for the catharsis, for ending things. We need conclusions, not more exposition an hour and a half into the movie. So I know it sounds like I'm really ragging on this movie. There was some stuff I liked. Again, some charismatic performances from characters. Unfortunately, some of them did not need to be in the movie. They could have been removed entirely. Again, I love Robert Rodriguez's style. I love his work stylistically. I just felt like it needed more time in the editing room to make it a sharper, more focused movie. There was a trailer at the beginning of the movie. Machete Kills again, in space. I want to see that movie. Light machetes. So, overall, pros, I do like the campy style. Some of that action was pretty out there, pretty insane. There were some good jokes. Damon Bashir, great performance. Mel Gibson, great performance. Cons, there wasn't really an ending. The movie just cuts at the end. We're finally picking up the pace and building towards this awesome, crazy, out of this world conclusion. And then the movie just ends. It's like they want a sequel, but I don't know if we're gonna get a sequel. The film was bloated in some parts, a little sluggish, drawn out. Some of the action was just very staple. It could have been any film, just blah action. Some of it, not all of it. Several characters that I really enjoyed, really cared about in the movie, did not have satisfying conclusions. All in all, I gotta say, I believe that every movie has some pros, has some cons. I gotta put that together and try to come to a conclusion and an analysis, and a fair analysis of what I think of the movie. And I gotta say, this movie, while it did have some redeeming qualities, was a little too long, needed some more time in the editing room, and overall, I would say that this movie is a 4 out of 10 and a jabber don't. Robert Rodriguez is an amazing director. This just wasn't his strongest performance. We got a lot of big things on the horizon. Go ahead and subscribe to JabberTalky. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Machete Kills. If you liked it, let me know what your score is, what you thought the pros and cons of the movie were, and let me know if you think I was completely off base. If we can have a disagreement, that's the great thing about film, is we can disagree, and that's okay. Film is subjective, and that's where the fun begins, when we get to talk about it. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you for your time, and this is JabberTalky, out.